It was Disney night on week 4 of Dancing with the Stars, and the competition just keeps getting better and better. Hey guys, it's your host Blakely McHugh, and welcome back to another shared news update. Before we break down Monday night's episode, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss any of our Dancing with the Stars coverage, because we do it all here Monday nights. And of course, I've got Zachary Reality with me to break down the top and the not so top performances of the week. Zach, I've got to know, we had so many characters week 4. Which one was your favorite costume or outfit?
Oh my God, this is one of my favorite nights because I love the nostalgia that Disney brings. And I honestly think that Charli was probably my favorite character costume. I loved seeing her as Marge Simpson and of course Mark as Homer, right? So I don't know, I just thought it was really well done, and I liked her tall blue hair. That was definitely seems like it would be difficult to dance in.
So difficult. And Mark has a lot of hair too. So for them to make him bald, we honestly need to give like a props and a round of applause to the makeup and the costume team, because even with Gabby, I had to do a double take. It was just so good. Okay, so let's get into some of the best performances of the night. Obviously, we already started talking about Charli, so let's get to her doing the jazz. How she did that jump without that wig going flying, and there was a flip in there too, just is beyond me.
There's gotta be some glue on her wig, like for
I
it
was
to
thinking
stay
the same
so
thing.
perfectly. Yeah, to stay so perfectly in place. But I feel like we say this every week. Like, Charli is just such a professional, and this dance felt a little bit like cheesy with like the music and stuff. But I think it overall did really, really well.
I love that you said that, because I was gonna say, like, to be honest, I really didn't like this performance. Like, it was just weird and quirky. I mean, she executed it. The two of them executed it perfectly. Like, they did a great job, but it was just with the Simpsons theme song, it was just so weird to me.
Yeah, I feel like Disney night, I mean, now I guess it's Disney Plus night, which is why they're extending it.
Yes.
But I think that Disney night is truly the night to be so theatrical and wide and really just like take advantage of the performance and create a beautiful love story. I think that's one of my favorite parts watching Disney movies or Pixar movies growing up. So I think they could have chose something else, but I also think it kind of fits to their friendship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like they're just kind of quirky and fun. It was a good performance. They got rave reviews by the judges. They ended up scoring a 36, which, if my math is correct, that is all nines. I don't know if anybody realized I just did the finger trick to get that math, which is one of the highest scores of the entire season. Now, they're not the only ones that scored a 36 this week. We got Gabby Windey doing the quickstep. I mean, she definitely nailed that performance as well. Val said they were gonna rank it up, what's the phrase? Turn it up, whatever. They were gonna turn it up. Turn it up for Monday night's episode. They want to get Gabby's imposter syndrome out of the way. And I mean, they did a lot during this quick step.
The music was really like jumpy and fun, and you could tell that Gabby was smiling the entire time. Like, they're really coming into their own as a couple more and more each week. It's clear that they have a really good friendship and dynamic. And I also have a little insider tea, Blakely. I heard that Gabby's been getting the most votes from the fans.
You know, for some reason, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I've been saying this whole time, Zach, you know, we're like, I think you said last week that you think Charli might win. And remember, I was like, her demographic is so much younger. So I don't know if like she's really getting that many people who are calling in. But I mean, think about the years past, like history, right? Won, Caitlin Bristow won. Like, we know the Bachelor franchise has sort of that demographic that watches Dancing with the Stars and really strong fans. So that doesn't totally surprise me.
I think that Gabby is definitely got this in the bag. I mean, we have a long season left. We keep talking about Wayne and Charli and Gabby always being our top 3. I feel like Shangela is probably like the underdog of that. But if Gabby wins, like,
Yes.
she had a journey, she had a story, and it was nice to see Rachel in the audience tonight because, Rachel
I
was there the first night for
know.
Gabby, and,
Mhm.
then she's kind of been all over. So now that she's back in California, I wonder what she's doing here.
I know we had Rachel and Eric in the audience. We also had some of Gabby's other friends. I wish I could remember her name, but you remember her best friend that has the mullet, and she told Eric, "My best friend has the mullet," so they were there. And yeah, so they scored a 36, also tying with Charli. And speaking on what you were saying, that she definitely has all the tools to kind of win. Carrie Ann and Abba said the exact same thing, saying she has everything she needs to win this, which is a really big statement. We haven't heard any other judges say, I don't feel like anything like that to the other contestants.
I mean, especially coming from Carrie Ann. I mean, everybody knows that she is the strictest judge. Val has even said it in interviews that she is the hardest one to please. So if you get on Carrie Ann's good side, that's a place you want to be. So I think Gabby's in the right place at the right
Yes.
time, and this competition is starting to heat up. I don't know if it's going to be like halfway next week, but after tonight, we're down to 12 couples.
I can't believe it. And by the way, you mentioned earlier that we've had Charli, we've had Gabby and Wayne all fighting for that number one spot. They've been tying week after week after week. And week
Hmm.
4 is no different because Wayne came in hot with the jazz. I have to say, I was in love with this performance. I just was fully captured by the love story that they were telling. The music drew me in, the outfits. I mean, everything about this was to perfection for me. And also how emotional Wayne got when he was crying
Hmm.
after his routine was over.
Yeah, you can tell that this week's dance just, felt a little bit more at home to him. He was more invested in it than
Mhm.
previous dances. And I also felt like he just wasn't trying too hard this week. Not that he ever was, but he just felt so comfortable and relaxed during this dance,
Yes.
where it was like this new side of him where he's just fully embraced the dance floor and he's truly just like having fun and living in the moment. And I think that is why, he is, one of the top 3 contestants every single week, week after week, because there's just something special
Mhm.
about him that he's bringing every single week that nobody else is.
Well, and I forget which judge that said it, but he was like, you are a great dancer. Like, you are a dancer. And like tonight, you not only danced, but you also were acting while you were dancing. He's like, you are an
Mhm.
incredible dancer and an incredible actor. I mean, we know that Wayne is an actor, but to put it all together, maybe that's also why I felt so connected to the performance as well.
It was just very theatrical and very relaxed, as I said. So it's nice to see a
Yeah.
softer side of Wayne too this week. As you mentioned, like he did get a little emotional. I think he just felt so fulfilled and
Mhm.
so proud. And I think that's,
Yes.
what he's going to be bringing into the rest of the competition.
That's actually exactly what he said to Alfonso after his performance done. He just was really proud of himself that he did it. And you know what? He deserves to be proud of himself because Wayne is crushing it because he's tied with Charlie D'Amelio and Gabby Windey, who are both actual dancers. So they all scored 36s this week, which are the highest scores of the season so far, all nines. I'm feeling like we may be seeing some tens out of these dancers sometime soon. But before we get to the worst performances of the week, we've got to give our man Vinny a shout out because he's been on a roller coaster on Dancing with the Stars. And yesterday
Mhm.
he was at the peak of the roller, or yesterday, Monday night's episode, he was at the peak of the roller coaster. So he had a 23 last week, which was really not that great of a score. He ended up getting a 29. So that's a pretty big improvement for him.
He just looked really happy this week in this dance. I don't
Hmm.
know if it was just like the character. I know some of his buddies were there, like Mike the Situation and Pauly D. So sometimes that kind of gives
Yep.
you that extra encouragement when you have your friends supporting you. But him and Coco, as I've been saying this whole time, like their friendship, their partnership, their dynamic is just so vibrant and powerful that even if Vinny gets a little bit lower scores than some of the top competitors, like he is bringing, the entertainment and the votes in. Like fans are really shipping, or not
Yeah.
shipping, rooting for them. They're shipping for them to win. So I think that he
Yes.
has that on his side. And if he keeps improving each week, like you really never know what could happen.
I wonder if, because I feel like from a lot of the contestants this week, there's just a lightheartedness, a fun aspect. It just feels like it's a lot easier for everybody this week. I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that it is Disney Plus night. It is just a more fun, like, I don't want to say relaxed because obviously you still need to bring it, but it feels that way a little bit more for the contestants.
I think that Disney night is the highlight of every single season. It's like that night that everyone looks forward to just because, it's such a
Hmm.
Disney family show. And now it's on Disney Plus. So there's the Marvel characters, there is Pixar,
Yeah.
which I don't know if I loved. I kind of like it when it's just core
Okay.
Disney. But I've heard that
Yeah.
usually they don't eliminate someone on Disney nights. So the fact that someone got eliminated tonight is actually a pretty big deal for Dancing with the Stars history.
Yep, somebody did go home. So, on that note, let's get to our bottom two of the night, starting with Trevor Donovan doing the samba. So, the judges were actually pretty harsh on Trevor this week. I really don't feel like he did a bad job. Like, it wasn't my favorite standout performance of all, but I didn't think that it was as bad as I felt like the judges made it seem to be.
I mean, I think his feet were just kind of lagging a little bit. I think that was like
Yeah.
one of my biggest complaints, at least from watching the dance. But I really think they nailed like the song and the costume and the energy. And clearly they have like a
Yeah.
really pop in dynamic partnership that everybody keeps mentioning. It could be a little taboo.
Hmm.
But I thought they did pretty well overall. Obviously, it wasn't the best dance of the
Yeah.
night. So I'm not surprised that they were, towards the bottom. But I do think that they need to kind of step it up for next week. I don't think they're out of it yet, but they could be on the chopping block, for next week.
They did get a 28 this week. So compare that to Vinny. He got a 29 and we were, praising him. I wonder if maybe why they're being ridiculed a little bit more with a more critical eye is because was it last week or 2 weeks ago when we like fell in love with their partnership? They told this amazing, beautiful story with their dance and with what they did. So it's almost like now when you have such a top tier performance, other ones that maybe don't live up seem a little more lackluster.
Yeah, that could be true. And I think that's why, you just kind of have to find new ways to bring it each week because no performance is ever going to be the
Hmm.
same. I feel like we've talked about sometimes when there's harder dances for a couple versus easier. So if this was an off week for them, I think that they still have a chance in this competition.
Definitely. So let's get to the bottom of the board. We've got Sam Champion. So him and Cheryl ended up scoring a 25. I didn't love this performance. He looked like he struggled at the very end. He spun her around and it looked like he was struggling doing that. And in dancing, you're not supposed to make it look like you're struggling to do
Hmm.
anything. I guess give me your thoughts on the performance.
I know, and this was my favorite song of the night. This song, like,
Mm,
obviously is just gonna always put you in such a good mood. But I mean, it's clear, and he's opened up about the fact that he has been struggling with his hip and his legs
yeah.
all season. Like, he's really pushed himself physically to the point where there's just no return. So even if he didn't end up getting eliminated, I still feel like it was maybe time to possibly pull himself from the competition because he's just not able to do it. His body can't hang. And I
Yeah.
think that he gave it his best. And it's clear he gave his heart and soul to this. So it is sad to
Yeah.
see him go home, but it just was his
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, unfortunately, he did get sent home, but he was in the bottom two last week. So I feel like we've seen this.
Hmm.
It was similar with Teresa. She was in the bottom two. The second
Yeah.
time she was in the bottom two, she went home. Same with Cheryl from last week. She was in the bottom two twice. The second time she made it into the bottom two, she was sent home. So there's kind of a pattern here. So what I'm thinking is you don't want to be in the bottom two twice because if you're in it twice, you're going home.
So does that mean you think Emma is going home next week, Emma and Trevor?
Well, if Emma and Trevor make it into the bottom two again, then they would then if we're following if history's repeating itself, then could potentially. But I don't see them. I don't know why. I feel like maybe they're in a lull for a second. I see them pulling it back together for next week, week 5.
Yeah, I don't really just know who else would be on the bottom though after that. I mean, Daniel Duran's been doing a pretty good job, but I'm not really seeing him like up there with some of the others. And I mean, I thought Joseph
Hmm.
did pretty well as Hercules this week, but he's not really getting the most like love and attention, I feel like, online. So he could also be on the chopping block in the next couple of weeks.
I also feel like there's a potential for Jesse James Decker. I feel like she's had some lower scores in the past. She hasn't been in the full bottom, but she's been more of that middle, lower middle tier.
Hmm.
And then who else do we have? We have Selma, but Selma's always been riding pretty good in the middle. She hasn't really dropped too low. And then there's Vinny. Vinny's honestly a wild card.
And Brandon and Jordan also. I mean, they're doing pretty good
Yep.
too.
They crushed it. Yeah. But I think if we're talking about who's been in the lower tier, it's been Vinny, Jesse James Decker, obviously Sam, but he's gone home, Trevor recently.
Yeah.
So maybe
So
those
those
are
are
the people we're going to be
probably,
seeing.
yeah, in the next couple of weeks. I mean, next week's two
Hmm.
nights. So I don't know if that means there's going to be two more couples eliminated. I mean, this competition is going pretty fast.
Yeah, we've got 2 nights coming up, which means more performances. So Monday and Tuesday. And those performances just keep getting bigger scores, better dances. I mean, I'm curious if we're going to see more eliminations next week and also how the dances stack up. Because if they're having only 1 week to prepare for 2 dances, and a lot of people have been struggling with
Hmm.
one, I'm curious where we're going to see maybe, our top people drop a little bit in the leaderboard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think this is going to really be the middle of the point, the middle of the season where you're going to be tested in
Hmm.
all ways possible, and the strong are going to prevail. And I don't want to say the weak, but the weakest links are going to go. I mean, I think it's going to be two people eliminated next week with two nights. I don't really see why they would
Ooh,
stretch it, especially when there's 12 couples left.
yeah.
That guarantees another 7 episodes.
Definitely. So maybe 2 nations. It'll certainly be a shakeup, and Zach and I will be here next week to break it all down for you and to cover it. We are doing a full coverage of Dancing with the Stars all week long, especially Monday nights when they air. So make sure you are subscribing, you're ringing that bell, you're liking this video so you don't miss any of our Dancing with the Stars updates. I'm your host, Blakely McHugh with Zachary Reality. You can see our social media handles on the screen right now. Drop by, give us a follow, and say hello.